Hi, Matt with etrailer. If you're looking for a bag that's going to be great to store in your vehicle, in the bed of your truck, or on top of your front runner rack, and you want to make sure it's going to be able to withstand the elements either while you're driving or at the campsite, then the Front Runner Typhoon Bag is going to be a great option for you. So let's check it out. This bag is specifically designed to work with the Front Runner rack, but it's also going to have a lot of other great uses because it does have that hard bottom to it because we do have a tray in there. So it's going to help with sitting on top of your roof, but also just storing on the ground. Like we have it right now, there's a bunch of water around me. You're probably going to run into that at the campsite too. There's going to be some muddy areas and just really wet areas. I think this is going to excel at that. Especially if you want to take this out kayaking or canoeing. You can actually store this in the canoe with you, and you don't have to worry about when you get into the canoe all that extra water seeping into your bag. And even talking about kayaking, once you're done, usually they're going to be pretty wet. You might have some wet shoes, shorts, or whatever your gear is. You can actually store it back into this bag, and then you can store it in your vehicle, and you don't have to worry about any of that wet gear really seeping into the interior of your vehicle. But from here, let's actually take a closer look at the inside and see how our gear held up at our outdoor studio. Take this down, and we can open it up. Now I will say there are some spots that are holding water a little bit on it, but overall, just a short drive over here, it's mostly dry on the exterior because I think one, it's black, is going to help that sun really soak up that water, and two, the water just doesn't really want to stick on here. We'll open up and we'll check the contents. And like I said, this can hold up to 90 liters, so it can hold quite a bit. Also going to have this hook and loop and these buckles to help keep it down. And it is kind of folded in on itself. So right here we have all that water kind of stored here. We don't have to worry about that falling in as we open it up. And so I will say, we did get a little bit of water that did come in here. So I put this brown paper in here just kind of make sure everything, how it shows up. And this is a point where we can get some water in. If you notice where that location is, it's really on the sides right next to that buckle. So that might be something you need to be a little more cautious when you do use this. But I was spraying it for quite a little while now. I probably have about maybe 5-10 minutes of me just spraying with the hose, and pretty much the majority of it is dry, just a little bit on those edges where we have the buckles at. I took everything out of the bag just to kind of show what we were able to fit in there and just talk about some of the contents. So one of the contents is going to be just this bottom tray, and this feels pretty dry. I was actually worried that our leak point was actually going to be this valve we have on the side. And because earlier I sprayed it a bunch for a few minutes just to see how it handles, and this is extremely dry, so this isn't the point where any water is going to leak through. Like I said earlier, I think our point of leakage was just this point on the side. Now what I was able to store in here is a decent amount, because 90 liters is a little bit hard to kind of envision. So over here I got a pillow, a sleeping bag, towel, a couple blankets, so you'll be able to put a lot of clothing in here, as well as some other gear. So if you want to go out biking, you can put your helmet, your shoes, even a first aid kit there too, a couple lights, and then I even put another dry bag in here. And I think this is going to be a great combo because, like you said, a little bit of water did get through there, so if you have anything that's really water sensitive, then you could even put it into an additional dry bag. A question you might be thinking about is, why wouldn't you just use one of these dry bags or a couple of them? Well, there are some pros and cons to these. I think these are great for those smaller little trips. Maybe you're walking away from your campsite, you need something small to carry with you. I think it's great for that. But I don't think it's great for putting on top of your vehicle. With this, there's really no great way to really strap this down, especially if this is going to be out in the elements when you are camping. It's going to pick up a lot of dirt and grime. With this other bag, we are going to have that tray that goes in the bottom. That kind of helps this be a little more flat, and it makes it a lot easier to strap down to our roof. It's also going to be a lot easier to access your gear that's in here. Because with this style, I got to undo that clip, but typically this can be a little bit difficult if I have to reach all the way at the bottom for something. Typically you want to put your items that you're not going to use very often at the bottom, but sometimes the unexpected happens and you need to get that item. I think with this larger bag, it makes that process a lot easier to work with because It's a much larger opening, and you can kind of rummage around in there a bit, and I think it's going to make for a lot easier use. This is going to be made from a 500 grade denier PVC TPE, and what that basically means is this is just a pretty thick rubber. It's going to help prevent any scratching or abrasions from occurring, and it's going to prevent that water from seeping through. And the bottom is going to be the same material, only at the bottom here, it's going to be made out of 1000 grade, so it's going to be twice as thick. And that's important because this is going to be the point that's going to be making ground contact. So if you're on a surface like I am right now on this rock, it's going to be less likely of scratching through. What's also helping us out is how this is being secured down. So it's taking that similar process of other dry bags where you grab the top area where it is a lot thicker and then you're rolling it. And you're going to roll it again, and now you'll notice we're going to have this hook and loop here. This hook and loop is pretty thick, and that's what's going to give us additional support to really put this down. And you're going to notice we do have double stitching. That's especially important for this bag. The reason I say this is you want to make sure this is extremely tight so no water can get through here. So you're going to be pulling on here pretty tight, and we're going to have some large buckles. This is also going to help us last longer since it is going to be made from more robust plastic. But why that is important is because not only are you going to be pulling on it tight, but in those rainy conditions, water is just going to deteriorate anything it's constantly making contact with. So making sure we do have that double stitching to help last us even longer is going to go a long way. Lastly, what's also helping us out with keeping water out of our bag is going to be the welding of our seams instead of more of a traditional stitching. Because since these are welded, we don't have to worry about any gaps for water to seep through, and overall I think this is going to do a really good job at holding together. If it's a little bit lighter like I have it right now, I can just simply grab it from the center and carry it like this. If I want to, I could even grab the side and help assist it up there. And when it is on top of your roof, for mounting it up there, there are a couple recommendations. So we will have some D-rings integrated into the design. These are made out of this kind of plastic material. It does feel pretty strong still. You could use this point if you really wanted to. Just make sure you have some point to really tie off at the bottom. Or you could go with some D-rings and straps that Front Runner has. So we have an example of one right here. Now if you are going with this method, I just recommend using 2 sets of straps to keep your bag into place. And as you notice, me lifting up here wasn't really any hassle at all. This is only a 5-pound bag, so it's not going to be too hard to work with. And when you are putting things on top of your roof, most of the times they're not going to be too heavy because this is pretty high up. Now, when it comes to how it looks on top of our roof, I think this is doing a great job for 2 reasons. 1, they are the same brand, and 2, they're the same color. So they're just going to match each other a lot easier. Now, there's a lot of other brands out there, one of which is A&B. They make a pretty good water-resistant bag too, and they also make racks as well. And when you pair them together, I'm sure they look pretty nice. Now, me personally, I'm more of a fan of this black style. I think it's going to match more racks and more vehicles, and I just think it looks better overall. But really just going to come down to what's your aesthetic. At the end of the day, I think this is going to get the job done no matter what the application is. Whether you plan on using it for those camping trips, kayak trips, or even if you have a lot of wet stuff and you want to store it somewhere, I think this will get the job done. But that was just a look at the Front Runner Typhoon Bag. I'm Matt. Thanks for watching.